How's it going? Just letting everybody in. You guys know the drill by now.
Okay, thank you.
Oop. Although I am a little rusty with this. So there we go. Letting everybody in. All right. So there is a limit to 40 minutes. So if I get cut off mid-sentence, which I hope this doesn't last all 40, um, that's why. Thanks for joining. I am going to start recording give everybody one more minute to get here, and then I'll start recording the meeting.
Hi, is it okay if my video is off? I'm at work.
I can remember how to record a meeting. Host tools? No. Maybe I won't record it. I'll just keep the one from last year up. It's the same process. More. Ah, there we go. Oh, it's already recording. Okay, cool. Shows you what I know. There it is. Yeah, because I put it in the settings beforehand, I guess.
I think it tells us that it's already recording.
All right. So I'm gonna get started. Thanks for joining our meeting. Um, My name is Brian Chesney. For those of you who don't know, Mr. Chesney, and I am the band teacher at three schools in our district. This is my sixth year doing band. It's my 11th year teaching. I used to teach chorus and general music for 5 years at Woodbine Avenue School. And now I'm the band teacher at School 4 and 5 in Avenel, and then in Island at schools 26 and 29. So if your child goes to a school that's not 4 and 5, 26, or 29, I don't know how you wound up here because I don't work at any other schools right now. Um, so you're here to learn about the band program a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my website with everybody. I'm going to show you how to get there very simply. Everything you see in here today will be on my website. I'm going to run the presentation straight off my website. If you haven't checked it out yet, I'm going to walk through it. If you have questions, I think you should be able to put them in the chat. If the chat's not working, I'm sorry. Let me just double check to make sure that's working. Should be able to. Could someone just write something in the chat, maybe? Or if not, someone I don't know. Sorry. But if you do have questions, oh, there we go. All right, cool. So the chat is working. If you have questions, thanks, guys. You can write them in the chat and I'll get to them at the end. I'm not gonna, do them right now, but if you have questions, I'll get to them at the end. But right now I'm gonna share and hopefully it shares the right window. There we go. Okay. And now everybody should be able to, see what is a Google search, right? Looks like Google to everybody. Because this is the easiest way to get to my website. You can go through the school website, click on the button that says teachers, all the ways you're probably used to finding your kids' teachers' websites. Or it's easiest for me if you just type my name into Google and then one of the schools. You can pick any of the three. I think we got a lot from Oak Tree here. I'll pick Oak Tree. There we go. There's me right there, Mr. Chesney Music. There's my Twitter, there's my LinkedIn, whatever. But there's there's my website. Okay, so I'll just walk through the website a little bit, and then I'll get to the presentation. So right here you can see my schedule. Mondays all day, Tuesday AM I'm at School 4 and 5. On Thursdays and Fridays I'm at Robert Masenic 26, and then on Tuesday afternoons and all day Wednesday I'm at Oak Tree Road 25. Our concert dates are right here. Okay, hopefully you can see my cursor. Um, they're right there on the website. If you ever forget them, they're right there. Um, okay, I'll talk all about renting instruments, buying instruments. That's the big reason why most of us are here. That's what everybody pretty much has questions about. I'll get to all of that. So hold your questions on there. I have a public Instagram with videos of me playing and videos of students that are permitted on. It's mostly just videos of me these days. And then my Twitter, it says nothing to see here, my X, but I tweet videos and stuff out, announcements. They should be there because there's like 11 years worth of tweets since I started teaching. Um, so I'll go right here to this band information tab because this is what I'm going to work off of. The presentation that I'm going to show you is right here. Okay, here's the video from last year. My hair's a little grayer and I'm wearing my glasses today. But I'm going to go straight from right here. Hopefully you can still see that. Can you guys write in the chat if you can see the presentation? Did it go right to that or is it still on the other page? All right, cool. We can see it. All right. It just great. Okay, it opened like a new window, hopefully, right? It didn't just share the one tab. All right, so here you go. You can see instrumental music, me. Here we go. So to sign up for band, I know a lot of you already did sign up for band. That's great. Some of you were probably waiting until today. 3 steps. Join our Google Classroom, fill out the Google form, and then acquire an instrument. Okay, Google Classroom is linked right on my website. Again, this whole presentation, so anything you see here, you can find right on my website as well. But there is a whole tab on my website. If I bring it back here, you can see Google Classroom with the codes and links. I just copied them and pasted them into this presentation. So you got to join the Google Classroom. Only join the one for the school that your student goes to. I've had plenty of times where kids join all 3 and then they're like, I got to remove me. I'm in the wrong one. Just join the one. If you join all 3, it's not a big deal, but it just makes it easier for everybody. Just join the Google Classroom for the school your student attends. The Google form. The Google form is linked in the Google Classroom. It's also on the top of my website right here. Okay, that's a direct link to the form. The last day to sign up is the 22nd. Okay, last day to sign up is the 22nd. Let me go back here. Okay. If you don't fill out the form, I'm not going to have your information. Your student's not going to be in the class just because they join the Google Classroom. That's not good enough for me. I need your information from the form, which is going to have your name, your kid's name, email address, the instrument they choose, which I'll go over as well, how they're going to get their instrument, what school they're in, what teacher they're in, just so I have all that information. And then I take that information, give it to the principal, and the principal of whatever school your student goes to will sign them up officially in Genesis for band. But make sure you fill out the form. That's the big thing here. Okay, if you don't join the classroom, I can always get the kid in the classroom. If you don't fill out the form, I don't know who they are. That's what I base everything off of. So please fill out the form. Here's the big thing with everybody. Acquiring an instrument. How do we get an instrument? Do you just get it? Do I give it to you? Do I pay for it? Do I pay you? What's the deal? Okay. So there are 3 ways to get an instrument. Okay, 3 main things. The first one is going to be to rent your instrument. Okay. Our district is partnered with Music and Arts. We have a designated sales rep. They're an easy company to work with. I think their prices are fair. But you can rent from anybody. But renting from Music and Arts is going to be the easiest because they visit our schools weekly. Their sales rep takes care of me. I usually have a sales rep here in the meeting to answer questions, but I don't this year, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Nothing against Music and Arts, because they're great, like I said. But I don't have their rep with us. If you were here last year, Jake, the sales rep, was in the meeting. But they're great. And the thing about renting is you're not necessarily just renting and throwing that money away, because if your student rents for a year, you have the option to buy out the instrument and finance it minus the money you already paid renting. So if you return the instrument, you don't want the instrument, your kid quits, whatever, then it's a rental and your money's gone. But if you get a great instrument, and your student loves it, they had a great time, they want to do it again, they want to be a saxophone player for the rest of their life, you can finance that instrument minus the cost that you already paid into it. So the money's not all gone there. I can't say much for the other rental companies because I'm not sure. A lot of them do have those programs, but I only work with Music and Arts. So that's my recommendation for that. You can buy your own instrument, but here's where things get tricky, and here's where I'm really passionate. And I have a lot of advice about this. Okay. You're going to see the rental. You're going to check the rental paper. Some of you already did. And then immediately you're going to go over here and you're going to go to Amazon And then you're going to search for a flute, not the allergy pills I just bought. And you're going to see 57.99 for a flute. Oh my gosh. I was going to pay $150 just to rent it. It's got 2,000 ratings. I'm going to tell you what, despite all those ratings, all of these cheap instruments are cheap for a reason. They're not good flutes. They're not good instruments. They are made out of cheap metal. They fall apart. They break very easily. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this. I've had plenty of years where we get to our first lesson, student pulls out their Mendini clarinet that they bought for $85 on Amazon, 2-day shipping. It's purple. Um, and it doesn't work. And the trouble with that is if you're going to buy a cheap instrument that is harder to play for your student because you're worried about the cost, then that student's not going to be able to learn. They're not going to want to practice. They're not going to play. And you're essentially just kind of throwing that money away. The other thing with those instruments is that music shops don't always repair them because the materials they're made out of are so inexpensive and so cheap that they can't actually put the proper screws or the proper rods and springs into the instrument because it'll break the instrument. So this is why I don't recommend going on Amazon and buying a cheap instrument. What should you do if you want to buy an instrument? Go to a music store. They'll help you. Or what I also recommend big time, and it's not on this paper, on this slide, but I believe if I scroll down here, I have it written. Here's all this information right here. So if you look at these stores, you'll find good ones, but I recommend looking for a used instrument. I mean it. Vintage used instruments are of super high quality. I'm not exaggerating. Like a Yamaha saxophone from the 70s or 80s is going to be like 50 times better. Well, maybe not than a new Yamaha, but than an instrument that you would buy brand new for the same price. So if you spent $250 on a used Yamaha saxophone that you found on Facebook versus a $250 brand new Amazon special, you're getting a way better instrument that's used. And then all you have to do is bring it to a music store. Dylan Music in Woodbridge will take care of you. They repair all instruments right by the train. It's on the opposite side of the train, Main Street. Sorry. It's opposite side of Main Street from the train station on Fulton, real close. They'll take care of you. They'll tune up the instrument and make it good. So and this is why I didn't want to have the music and arts rep here because I don't want to insult him, but that's a great option. If you don't want to spend a ton of money, you want to buy an instrument, and then those instruments you could resell for the same price that you paid for it, and someone's going to buy it. Used instruments are great. They don't, my saxophone that's right at my feet right now, it's a professional model, but it's from 1974. My saxophone that I bring to School 29 is my Yamaha saxophone from 4th grade. My parents rented it from a music store in Kenilworth that I don't believe is around anymore. They did the finance option, and I used it all through high school. I went to college and got a professional model, but I still play this Yamaha saxophone from 2001 to this day. So that's my kind of stump speech here. If you're confused about anything, I'll just email me. I'll help you out. The list of brands is on my website, but I can also send you a list, send me a picture, send me the info if you find something that looks good to you. But that's something I'm really passionate about because it's a real shame when I see kids who have these instruments that they're excited about, they're ready to play, and they're just more so toys than they are actual quality instruments. And I've had instances too, especially with the flutes. The flutes and the trumpets from Amazon are just really bad. Some of them have lead in them too. That was a rumor going for a while. So I wouldn't even risk it. But I'll see students who have these instruments and they're struggling. And then all of a sudden I'm like, well, why don't you try out one of these ones? And they can play it because it's a better instrument. So I'll leave it at that. Email me any questions about instruments that you have. I'll help you out. No problem. I'm pretty quick with responding during the school day. The third option for instruments, which is it on this? Do I have another slide? Or no, that's just the instruments. I have some instruments at the schools that I can loan out for families in financial need. I understand this. I mean, it's the world we live in these days. It's nothing to be ashamed about. If your family cannot purchase an instrument for any reason or rent, send me an email. I have a limited supply. I can't guarantee that your student will get their first choice of instrument because I know at the schools I only have like 1 or 2 flutes. I have a couple more trumpets. I'm trying to build up my supply with my budget money. But again, we get less money every other year and instruments are expensive. I'm not going to buy cheap instruments for the reasons I already explained. So if renting is out of the question, you can't afford to purchase something of high quality, even a used instrument, then reach out to me because I do have some available at the schools. Okay. What are the instruments? I'll go over them right now, but I will show you on my website. If you come over here to the choosing an instrument tab, it brings you to a wonderful website that's actually run by Music and Arts, the rental company, with videos and walkthroughs and statistics about band, about all of the instruments. Okay. There's some instruments on here that I don't teach in 4th and 5th grade, aren't offered in the district. But I'll go over the ones that are offered right now briefly. All the kids saw a presentation of me playing them and explaining them. So I'm sure they could probably tell you a little bit about each one. So our 7 options, the first one is the flute. This is our most popular instrument. Maybe not last year, but certainly at School 29, I have 2 rows of flutes and like half a row of clarinets, half a row of saxophones. But flute is popular. Flute is a challenging instrument to start out on. And that's what I don't think a lot of people understand necessarily when they jump in. Making a sound on the flute is the most difficult of the instruments. Most of the other instruments, you can kind of just put your mouth in the right spot and blow, and they'll make a sound. The flute, it's very specific to the student. So I'm saying this right now to the parents. If your kid is struggling in the first week, month, 2 months, 3 months with the flute, as long as they're practicing at home, they're going to have that eureka moment, and then it's going to become easy from there. Because once you make a sound on the flute, learning the fingers and such is not that challenging. But I do just want to point that out, that starting out on flute is a slow process. It takes some time. Clarinet is like a jigsaw puzzle. There's 7 pieces to it. So our first 2 lessons, really, the third one we're definitely making a sound by, but your first 2 lessons are really going to be putting it together and putting it together quickly. We have clarinet races where we see who can set them up the fastest. But it does take, some time to practice putting it together properly so it doesn't break. Clarinet also has a reed, a wooden reed. The clarinet and the saxophone, I have, actually have one right next to me. It's a little piece of wood. They do break. So this is a great opportunity for your child to learn some responsibility, and take care of things properly, because I have some reeds at school, but I always say to the kids, they come out of my budget, and for the reeds, I always pick good reeds that aren't going to break. They're quality, so they sound good. They want to play. They're about $2 to $3 a piece. So I can't just keep giving reeds out to kids every week. And I could recommend good brands because, again, you buy a poor brand reed, they have them on Amazon. The boxes I recommend, they're about $25 for 10 of them. They have boxes of 10 for $8 on Amazon. Sometimes they get shipped with mold on them. You don't want to put that in your mouth. So that's another thing. The saxophone, that was what I started out on in 4th grade. It's the heaviest. That does not mean that a small child cannot play it. It's just a heavy instrument, and it's loud. But the saxophone, and I'm saying this as a saxophonist, is probably the easiest to put together and make a sound and start playing on right away out of all of them. That does not mean it's the easiest to make a nice sound on, because they're probably going to sound like an 18-wheeler truck, but it's fairly simple to get going on the saxophone. The next 3 are lumped together because they're similar: the trumpet, the trombone, and the baritone horn, which, sorry, like a cutoff, I guess. Baritone is also euphonium. They're almost exactly the same instrument. They're just shaped a little differently, played the same mouthpiece. But I'll talk quickly about all 3 of them. They're the easiest ones to put together. They are very loud. The trumpet is not a large case. Trumpet's actually one of the lighter instruments out of the whole band. And the trombone, too, is not heavy. It's just long. It's stretched out. So trombone has a slide. You can watch the videos to hear them. Trombone and baritone play the low notes. Most of us are probably familiar with the trumpet and trombone. The baritone euphonium is basically like a baby tuba. So if your kid wants to be that tuba player in the marching band, bopping up and down the street during the St. Patrick's Day parade with the big tuba wrapped around them, that's where we start out. Because that instrument's just pretty much too big for most fourth or fifth graders. And the last option is percussion. This is where I get a lot of questions. Okay, we don't have a specific drums class. It's kind of an old way of teaching, and albeit in this area of the country, we're a little behind some of the other states by enacting this percussion class instead of specifically drums, where they're learning how to play the bells, the mallets. And I have a picture of the kit right here. So they're not just learning drums. It's not two sticks and a pad the way it was maybe in the 90s or 2000s when, we were in school. They're learning on the bells first. They're learning how to hold the sticks, same as a drumstick. They're learning the patterns left and right, the same as drumsticks, but they're also learning how to read notes on the staff, the actual music notes. They're not just learning rhythms. So they're getting a full musical education. And then once they graduate from there, we move on to the drums, which is a drum pad. If you don't know what a drum pad is, it mimics a regular drum, but it is not that loud. It's basically like tapping on softer than a tabletop. It's like tapping on a book, basically. So that's what we learn in percussion class. Okay. If your kid wants to play drums, sign them up for percussion. That's great. We need them, especially at School 26 this year. We had no fourth graders last year sign up for drums. But I know we have at least two now. So percussion's a great option. Just make sure. Okay. So those are the 7 options. Again, this is all on the website. You can go through them, ask me any questions later. I know I'm seeing in the chat some questions already about the lesson schedule. When do they have their lessons, before or after school? Everything happens during the school day. I don't call any rehearsals or anything after school or on the weekends. I don't believe any elementary teachers do in our district. There's 5 of us that do elementary band in the, whatever we got, so many elementary schools. It's such a big district. And that's why I'm in 3 schools, because there's only 5 of us. But the way it works is they have 1 half-hour pull-out lesson per week. They get pulled out from their regular classroom. So for just like they would if they were in like G&T or speech or ASI, any of those things, you leave class for a half an hour. They're responsible for whatever they miss when they go back. But all the teachers I work with are very cooperative, and I've never, ever had a student start to fall behind in their work because of band. Ever. So that's the half-hour lesson. They're with students who all play the same instrument and at the same level. So it's all first-year clarinets, or it's all second-year saxophones, or it's all whatever. The only classes that I might combine first and second year, which happens sometimes, is percussion, just because we need to work as a unit for the concert, and that's not a difficult thing to do. I know at 4 and 5 every year I wind up doing that. So maybe your student might remember that from last year. But that's once a week. And then after November break, we're going to start rehearsing for our concert. I know the concerts are in the spring. It takes a long time to rehearse for them, especially at Avenel Street School, where we usually have rehearsals on Mondays, and we have 8 Mondays off this year. So we're kind of, have an uphill battle a little bit with scheduling some years. But that starts during recess time once a week. Students sometimes get discouraged by this because they want to go to recess. I totally understand that, but I will also bet them that after they come to 1 or 2 of our full bands, they're going to realize they're having just as much fun. Some kids actually tell me they wish they could come every day, and I'm very proud of that. But especially if your student goes to 4 and 5, where we're not really going outside that much. So you don't want them to be stuck in the classroom. They come to me. We hang out, make some music, have a good time. That's how the schedule works. The concerts, here's the dates. They're listed on my website. I've been trying to do them in April to avoid any conflicts with testing. But the way this district works is I schedule my concerts, and then the Board of Ed just schedules things on the same day. So a couple of them got pushed back. First one is School 29. You're going to be April 15th. That's at the school. Lucky we have this beautiful, huge gym there where we can have our concert. Makes everything much easier for me. 26, we're on the 6th of May. That's with the chorus at JFK High School. We just confirmed that last week. me and Mrs. Khan. And then 4 and 5, we are at Avenel Middle School on the 22nd of May. I did want to do that one a little bit later since we are missing so many Mondays this school year. And that's at 6 p.m. That is also with the chorus with Mr. Wasco. If you have questions about chorus, you got to ask the teachers at the school. I'm not sure what anybody's doing there. That's it for the presentation here. My email, my website, Twitter, and Instagram are all the same. And like I said, this presentation, you can find it right on my website right here. Okay, so I'll leave that open. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. I'm going to look at the chat and answer some questions. So if you do have a question, put it in the chat, but I'm going to scroll back up and see what we've got here. All right, everybody's saying hello. Thank you. Can kids get to try various instruments at school before finalizing one? We don't offer that. In Woodbridge, I know some school districts, they'll put together this district-wide band night and all these wonderful things. Our supervisor didn't do that, and unfortunately, that's not what we do. So I'm sorry they don't get to try them. But any student can play any instrument. That's something I'm very passionate about. There's no such thing as a girl instrument, a boy instrument. I'm too big, I'm too small. No, any student can play any instrument. And a lot of times parents will say, well, what instrument should they play? And I ask them a question. What instrument do they want to play? Because if you're playing an instrument that you don't want to play, you're not going to practice it. You're not going to learn it. You're going to fall behind. You're not going to get good. You're going to quit. If it's an instrument that you want to play, even if you're having a hard time, you're going to be motivated to want to play it. And on that as well, having a hard time, obviously I'm passionate about learning music just to learn music and to play instruments well. But I think something that kids take away from band class that they don't get too much these days is that you're doing something challenging and you're doing something really hard. It's safe, it's not dangerous, but it's fun. And it's where kids can learn to really take on a challenge, do something that's hard and the progress is slow, and learn some perseverance, and really build some character in the process. Obviously, make friends, socialize, all the things we already know about. I don't have to talk so much about that or bring up how band students have higher test scores, all those great things. I really think outside of just the musical aspect of band, these days it's really a great place for students to learn some perseverance, to be a part of a group, a team that's bigger than just themselves, to learn some more motor skills. Frankly, kids these days have much worse motor skills than when I started teaching 11 years ago. So those are some things, that I'm passionate about as well. What are each instruments you recommend to kids? All right, I went over that. I know some of these you probably posted before I went over some of the things. Again, I'm sorry they can't try out the instruments. Kids interested in drum are supposed to get bell kit as well. Yeah, so I had said that before. I don't know if this was before I had said that. All percussion students start out on the bells. They learn the basic techniques for drums on the bells. They're the same. They transfer over. They learn how to read notes. And also the thing with this too is when we used to have just drummers, there's only 2 drums in most songs and 1 cymbal. So if you have 10 kids, you've got 3 kids playing and then 7 kids are just sitting there doing nothing. Now they learn the bells. So everybody gets a shot at a drum or a cymbal or whatever. And the songs that they don't have those parts, they're playing the bells on so that they're always participating. What size reeds? I always start kids out on a size 2 Van Doren. Van Doren is the brand. If you have questions, you can email me. I'll send you a direct link. Those are some things that you can buy on Amazon, are reeds, books, just not instruments. So if you look up, I'm not sharing my screen anymore. I was about to search on Amazon, but Van Doren reeds size 2. I can send you a direct link in an email. How do you rent the instrument? You go right on the Music and Arts website. There's a rental tab. You fill out your information. Any questions for Music and Arts, you can call them. Their Edison store is right on Route 27, down in South Edison. If you guys know where like K-Pot is and H Mart, it's over by there. There's a Volkswagen dealership as well there. I had to bring my wife's car. What day of the week does band start? So if your student has an instrument already, I've told them they can bring it in and we'll meet on the days that I'm there. They should all know what days I'm at the school. If your student's instrument gets delivered to the school, I will give it to them the first day that I'm there, that the instrument is there, and we'll go over it. So if your student goes to 29, they could bring their instruments on Wednesday. I'll find them. I'll see who's got what, and we'll uh, find a time to come on down. Um, if your student goes to 4 and 5, they can bring it tomorrow or next Monday. And we already started at 26 because we got a head start just because of the way the days were with school started, where I saw two first-year students on Thursday, and then I saw all my second-year students who brought their stuff in on Friday. The finalized lesson schedule will go out the end of the month, the beginning of October, just because I give everybody a chance to sign up. And also, they wind up changing the schedules around a bunch of times throughout the year. So the official lesson schedule will come out the end of the month, beginning of October. But lessons can start whenever your kid has an instrument. They just bring it to me, tell me they've got it. We'll find a time to meet. How can I rent the instrument? Okay, I answered those questions. Sign up for Google Classroom, and I couldn't find your class. So the link directly to Google Classroom is on my website. So if there's a problem with that, just send me an email and I'll take care of that. They should be bringing the percussion kit back and forth. Otherwise, they can't practice at home. Now, those percussion kits, the ones that you're going to buy that are from Music and Arts and whatnot, they have wheels on them. So they have a handle and they have wheels. So the kids wheel them in and out. So they're not heavy. They're just pulling them like a suitcase. I have seen some people buy some cheaper ones that don't have wheels and they have to carry them. But a lot of times they have a backpack on it. But if you're concerned about the bell kit being heavy, then just make sure you get a case with wheels because they are heavy, but they're not heavier than a saxophone. Honestly, they might be even lighter. But they wheel in and out of the school. Let's see what else we got here. When renting a trombone, just it's a regular trombone. If you're getting it from the website, they'll make sure they get you the right one. Just don't rent a bass trombone. I mean, you could, it's pretty cool, but it'd be a lot heavier and you'd be the only one playing it. So it's a tenor trombone, is what we're playing. If there are any more questions, I'll wait another minute. Otherwise, I believe that's it. School 26, I just started with whatever kids had their instruments last week. If they have them this week, they can bring them in. I'm going to take the first year students on Thursday and the second year students on Friday. So if your student has their instrument, tell them to bring it in on Thursday if they're first year, second year on Friday, which I did tell I did tell the kids last week, I believe.
Mr. Chesney, can you hear me?
Tenor trombone. It's the only trombone. If you're going to rent it and you're going through Music and Arts, it's the only trombone option. Just a standard tenor trombone.
Can you hear me?
There are different size saxophones. We teach the alto saxophone. So I've had people come in with different tenor saxophone and whatnot, but we teach alto. That's all we teach right now. If your student's interested in the bigger saxophones, they can switch to those in middle school. You're welcome. All right, so I guess I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for coming. Again, all the information you need, pretty much could ever need, is going to be on my website. I think I went over pretty much everything there as well. Let me just double check. Yep, and I'll go over that with the students as well. Oh, one last thing too. We before I forget, we use a program called Make Music, an online platform to help practicing and for students to do little assignments on. There's no grade for band class. It doesn't go on the report card. But I do give assignments but they have plenty of time. I'm not going to sneak them on them. But the program that we use, Make Music, it uses the microphone from your laptop, your tablet, whatever, and it turns practicing into like Guitar Hero basically for the instruments. It's awesome. I love it. I don't pick songs usually that are not on there. But it's a really great program that we use that's online. It shows them the notes. So just get ready. In December, I usually roll that out to the kids, and they have an assignment due in January. And then usually before the concert, their concert songs are all due. They record it. I show them how to do it. It's a great program that we've been lucky enough to, again, maybe a little later than the other districts around us, but we finally got it in Woodbridge, and I love it. And you'll learn about it in December. All right. Someone was trying to ask a question. Can you hear her? Well, if you just write, does someone have a question in the chat. I don't use GarageBand with the students. I mean, I use GarageBand personally sometimes, but that's not part of my curriculum with the kids. If anybody has any more questions, and Make Music's online. It's a website. It used to be called Smart Music. Maybe you know some of the kids use Smart Music. It's makemusic.com. That's all. Bell kit or a percussion kit? Yeah, I showed it too, I think. I'll show it again. It's no problem. You go right here to my website, and under band information, you can see down here that this is the kit that they need. It's if you go to the Music and Arts website, they can rent it. It includes a bell kit, a drum pad, mallets, and drumsticks. That's what they need for percussion class. Right here. And you can see it has wheels and a handle. It looks bigger than it is. It looks bigger and heavier than it actually is. It's not light, but again, it has wheels. All right. Great. With that, I will end the meeting. Any other questions you have, feel free to email me. I'll get back to you tomorrow. If you email me tonight, I promise. Thank you so much for coming, and I look forward to having your kids in band. I love this job. I enjoy it. I really do. I'm a lucky guy to have the position I have. It's a lot of fun. So thank you guys, and hopefully I'll see all your kids this week or next. Take care. You're welcome, everybody.